Good evening, just before 7 o'clock on this September 27th, 2021. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. We have Scotty Powell in the foothills of North Carolina joining us from Morganton, but most importantly, Jared Smith in Charleston, South Carolina. We're coming on the air right now because we have now had 3 earthquakes in the broader Charleston area today, one of them being just in the last few moments. Let's start with Jared, who is out and about. Bring us up to speed, Jared.
Yep. About 6:21 p.m., a 2.9 magnitude earthquake was confirmed by the USGS down in Summerville, or kind of south of Summerville. You know, when you think about the positioning of it, if we can get that map up at some point, that would be good. But it is very much in central Dorchester County there. Yeah, let's zoom in on that bad boy real quick. Yeah, that's actually that is right in. Let's just take. Yeah, I mean that is very close to the Charleston metro area. That shook. Everyone, except for me, apparently felt it. There was a. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see that we the 2 earlier ones were closer to the town of Summerville, which we expect. I mean, that's a known fault line around here. And this one was, I suppose, was a little further down. Again, not a seismologist by any stretch of the imagination, but but we do our best, with what we picked up. But this one certainly, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, 2.9. We had a 2.8 in Summerville earlier, and nobody felt that. A 2.9, and everybody felt that. I mean. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised with additional data to see it potentially revised up a little bit. It was pretty unanimous though. I mean, we started getting reports from the Park Circle area, North Charleston, started getting reports from places like Johns Island, downtown, Summerville, all over the place. And that caused and as we just put up on the screen here. Okay, so looking at the messages that we're getting right now on YouTube, I mean, it was that Summerville was felt earlier, but this one was a little bit more potent.
Let's show people this timeline here real fast, Jared, to give people an idea. First of all, I want to say we have no reports of any injuries or damage. These are smaller sized earthquakes, but as you can see from the comments, we are beginning to get reports that people have felt some or all of these. And here's the timeline from USGS and South Carolina Emergency Management. We had one near Centerville at about 1:56, or shouldn't that be 12?
That was August.
That was August. Okay, that was August. But Centerville, I see. Yep. Let's work our way up to Summerville. So 12:49. Magnitude 2.8. That was today. Then we had another one minutes later, also near Summerville, about a 2. And then one just minutes ago at 6:21. That was a initial 2.9 near Shell Point. As Jared was just mentioning, some of these can fluctuate or get revised based on what people are reporting into the USGS. And I'm going to put in the link in chat right now. This is the link to the Shell Point one, the latest one, that if you felt it, the USGS does want to hear from you. They want to know exactly how far this thing was felt away so you can report what you felt to them.
Yeah. And something to keep in mind too, the preliminary report on this was a 3.5. It has since been revised down to a 2.9. So again, that's so we're going to see how this goes. This is not a one size fits all process. This takes time and reevaluation. So we'll see what it ultimately ends up as. It could be a function of, and again, I haven't looked at the depth on the other quakes today, but it could be a function of the type of land that it was underneath, that it was vibrating through. I mean, it's very possible that there's a lot of different factors that go into how far and wide you feel one of these things. So
yeah, let's show people the initial shake map. So this is from the one just about 30 minutes ago. The shake map showing us that it was felt through parts of Summerville, parts of North Charleston, and even a few closer to Charleston. And then also,
It's
here's
just
the one
been-
from earlier. Yes,
it's
go
just-
ahead.
It's just been updated to a 3.3. As Jared was
Okay.
talking, they just updated it to a 3.3.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Depth at 4 miles below the surface, 3.3 now. Just the as Jared said, they will continue to moderate this, and it could even go up higher or not. But that just come out, and Jared and James, the National Weather Service in Charleston just issued a public notification about this. Public information statement: earthquake confirmed just north of West Ashley, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Earthquake with preliminary magnitude of 2.9, which now is 3.3, occurred around 6:21 center just north of West Ashley, South Carolina, or 12 miles northwest of downtown Charleston. Numerous reports of shaking have been reported around the Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley County areas. Shaking has been felt in other locations across southeast South Carolina and southeast Georgia. So that's from the National Weather Service there in Charleston, South Carolina, issuing this update at 6:54. Confirming what we're on air now, James.
Yeah, and we want to let you folks know, if you're watching, again, just in the comments a few moments ago, we shared the link to the USGS. You can officially let them know what you felt. We're also looking for your comments so we can report on them here, just like Jen did, telling us that her house near Summerville shook earlier and then again. And Scotty, you were talking about this just before we went on. The Carolinas, this is becoming something we've seen over the past few days. This comment coming into us from the mountains of North Carolina, telling us they felt one. Was it last night or the night before?
Yeah, so 2 days ago we had a 2.4. It just went off the map here when I updated my website here. But it was 2.4 just outside of Asheville in Henderson, in I think it was Transylvania County. And then earlier this morning, some folks in our North Carolina mountain communities may have felt an earthquake that occurred in the Blacksburg, Roanoke area. A 2.6 magnitude earthquake occurred this morning around 9:45 in the morning. So that could also probably cause some shaking there in the far northern portions of North Carolina. And James, we know this area all too familiar with the Sparta earthquake that occurred last year that was over a magnitude 5. So those folks up in northwestern North Carolina, kind of eerie when the ground starts to shake and things like that from previous experience. But over the last 2 days, it has been fairly active. Thankfully, no major earthquakes, a 3.3, the highest that's happened so far. But it does look like we've had several earthquakes in the area over the weekend leading into Monday.
I was recently reminded that Charleston is an active earthquake area. Not only is it an active hurricane area, but it's also an active earthquake area. We've talked about it in the past when it comes to protecting your home, protecting it from tropical weather, but also the land around you. You might remember in 1886, a earthquake estimated to be about a magnitude 7 took 60 lives in the Charleston area with estimated damage between $50 and $60 million. That was in 1886. So far today, the biggest one is a 3.3 magnitude earthquake, if I heard Scotty correctly, the last few moments, and that occurred just under an hour ago. Well, let's take a look now at some more comments coming in. Greta's watching us on Facebook. I felt the last one in Goose Creek, right off of Red Bank Road near the railroad tracks at the crossroads of 52 and St. James. Jen is still with us on YouTube. Could be an aftershock from earlier or the actual quake. That is a great question, and one that we're trying to sort out too, because what you think is an earthquake then becomes a force shock, and you get a second one, but at what point does it become an aftershock? It's pretty complicated, and it's something that I think even the experts take a little while to kind of break down based on their observations.
Yeah, James, we were talking about that. We all weather background, but when things like this come into play, we have to play the scientist background. So before we were on air, I did some research on the USGS, which is United States Geological Survey or Service, which is in charge of earthquakes. So a foreshock is an earthquake that precedes a larger earthquake in the same location. An earthquake cannot be identified as a foreshock until after a larger earthquake in the same area has occurred. So today, this event that just occurred, this 3.3, would be categorized as the earthquake, with the two events leading into this one at 6:30 tonight are now considered foreshocks. And so if we see anything happen later on tonight, tomorrow, that's less than a 3.3, that would be considered an aftershock.
And let me address that question that just came in. Wait, could there be more is the question. We don't know. Officially, we're monitoring information from USGS, South Carolina Emergency Management, even the Weather Service. No one is foretelling of any more right now, but certainly the reason we're on the air is because it's unusual to have 3 in a single day. We've already talked about in the last few moments some of the other ones that were observed in Blacksburg or over recent days in Western North Carolina or Sparta, North Carolina a year ago. And even the Sparta one, you'll remember that there were some aftershocks after that one. So we don't know, and no one is officially telling us that you need to prepare for more, but 3 of them in a day certainly has everyone talking. And that's why we're here. We're here right now just to kind of give you an idea of, yes, you felt something and you're not alone. Jared Smith at the bottom of the screen, you may know him as Charleston Weather on Twitter, CHSWX. He's out and about walking around. And Jared, you told us you did not feel it where you are in Charleston or West Ashley, but we do have a comment from someone else who felt it in West Ashley. So it really goes to show that when we're talking about this strength, it's a little hit or miss, probably depending, Jared, on where you were and what you were doing.
Yeah, I asked a couple people at the place I ended up at, was there a quake? Did you feel anything? And they said no. And keep in mind that where I am, I'm not very far from the epicenter of this bad boy. So, some people felt, swaying and creaking and other things like that. I may have had quite a few alarmed profanities showing up in my text messages from all over the place and in my tweets. And thank you everybody for your reports. I want to say something to everybody in Charleston though, as I huff and puff, but I got to get home because it's almost dark. And I was going for a walk and I was listening to music and noise canceling headphones, and apparently they're earthquake canceling too. So one up for the AirPods Pro. But that being said, this is not totally weird for here. This is not completely out of the blue. 3.3, 3.5, yeah, that's on the higher end of what we usually feel here. We do have a history, as James mentioned earlier. We do have a history. I mean, you ask any Charleston local, 1886 is something that was always in the back of our minds. But we don't, and unfortunately, the science is not at the point where we can predict earthquakes days, weeks in advance. Out in California, where they have a lot more of these things, they have a warning system that gets you 60 seconds, and that is an advancement. That is impressive. But here, it's not, this is not the San Andreas that we've got going on here. It's not anything like that. But from time to time, yeah, we're going to have these shakes. I mean, that is a fact of life in Charleston that doesn't quite get talked about so much in travel and leisure. But it is something that we
named you guys one of the nicest cities in the country.
Yeah, is the number 1 earthquakes in the world, right? I mean, that's just how it is. But yeah, we're okay. I mean, I think could there be something else? If there is if there's an aftershock to this, chances are good it's going to be weaker, and as a result, probably not going to feel that one. I mean, 2.5 is at the limit of feeling, if you think about it. Right. We get little 1.8s and 2.2s fairly routinely. You'll see that pop up in the news sometimes.
Yeah, I actually have a picture here, Jared, from the USGS that I'm waiting to bring up on the screen that shows some of these just historic figures. Here it is. That I think drives this point home. And then it shows a little bit of a hotspot in Charleston, also along the mountains between North Carolina and Tennessee, where we've seen some as well too. Obviously, the West Coast is a big area, and a lot of us know that. But you can see that little hotspot down there on the coast of South Carolina. That's always interesting.
No, absolutely. I don't know what happened to my video, but no, it's a thing. It truly is a thing, and we just need everybody to be conscious of that. James, I have no idea what happened to my video. I responded to a text message and
Yeah, all
that
good.
was it. So
All good. I think. Go ahead.
But yeah, this guy here, this quake. I mean, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
It tells a story.
Well, and I think the comments are interesting too, because people on this coast not as familiar with earthquakes as people in other parts of the country, as we're seeing that in some of our comments coming in right now. And a lot of people experiencing maybe what is their first earthquake here. And to also answer the question that's come up a couple times, we have no reason to believe that another one is coming, but we're monitoring. And I think the officials are doing the same thing at this point. And if you are just joining us here at 7:08 p.m., 3 earthquakes reported today in the South Carolina area, all in the broader Charleston area. 2 of them near Summerville and 1 near Shell Point. And so that is what brings us on the air right here tonight. And we thank so many of you joining us in the comments. We'll have Jared Smith back with us in just a moment, joining us from the Charleston area.
James, I got a screen share up. I'm not sure if you have to prove it or not. There we go. Oh,
nope. I'm sorry. Here it is.
There we go. So this is from our pal Brad Panovich, and this is a seismograph, and this is actually located. I'm familiar with this. This is in the South Mountain State Park area here in Burke County. That Memphis, the University of Memphis in Tennessee, has a seismograph set up here to monitor things, and you can see the seismograph picked up on the earthquakes earlier today in the low country of South Carolina. That first one that you can kind of see the squiggly lines really making big up and down, that was the first earthquake just before 1 o'clock, and then this red lines that you can see here at the bottom, that is the most recent one, and you can kind of see the discrepancy and how much longer lasting and how much more growth you see in the lines, indicating the stronger earthquake. So the first one, 2.9, 2.8, 2.9. This last one now a 3.3. But as you can see, though, James, you nor I felt it here in North Carolina. The seismograph actually did.
It did, but it's way more sensitive than we are. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Even though that one is located in the foothills of Western North Carolina, no human being felt it, but it goes to show how sensitive some of the tools can be to observe some of these things. And as I understand it, they'll actually triangulate the epicenter of the earthquake using these seismographs, much like they would use cell phone towers to try to triangulate, say, a lost person in their cell phone. They'll do the same thing with these seismographs because they're so sensitive.
Yeah, definitely. Just you can feel it. And if you've ever seen an earthquake map, the shake maps, you can actually see it in a wave go all the way across the country if you animate it. So those are pretty impressive to see as well.
Yeah,
so.
Here's a question that came into chat that we can actually answer. When was the last time an earthquake of this magnitude was occurred in the Charleston area? And we actually had a timeline from South Carolina Emergency Management that actually shows an earthquake of 1.7 in Centerville a month ago. So that one's a little bit shy of that same magnitude. But just looking over some of these, you can see Centerville in August, you can see North Carolina in August, all in that 1 to 2 magnitude range. So it's not completely foreign, not completely unheard of. Matter of fact, we don't always come on the air for every one of these smaller ones, but when we get a series of 3 of them like this in a row in the Charleston area, that's what kind of grabs our attention.
Definitely so. Thankfully, Jared, I think you can attest to this. Doesn't seem like we're going to see anything that you would see out in California or in other locations where buildings start to have some damage to them. So for those folks who are maybe a little bit nervous, I've seen here in the comments, someone saying, I don't know if I should stay in the car a little bit longer. I think it's safe to go in your home. I don't believe it's going to be a major ideal, just more of a nuisance and like, hey, was that shaking or did I hear a pop or something, more than any just damage to any homes.
I was just looking at the Twitter feed for the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, which has been tweeting about these to try to get an answer to this very question that you referenced, Scotty. And they don't have any word out right now about any precautions that anyone needs to be taking or any concerns that anyone needs to be having with regards to what could come after this. We don't have any sort of information like that to relay. So I think it would be safe to presume you can go about doing your normal activities. But as always, like we would say, be weather aware. Have a way to get information and communication, charge your phones, and have AM and FM radios, because if, this is just food for thought in general preparedness, having communication abilities is always good, whether it's offline or through analog. Jared, any closing thoughts here as I see you're making your way closer to home?
Yeah, I've made it home. So first of all, do not raid the bread and milk. There's no need to do that. You're gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna be just fine. We don't need to do that. Go on about life as normal. Seriously. Go on about life as normal. If you have a hurricane kit, most of the way there, honestly.
Right.
And I think the other thing too is that these things can come in swarms, and the fact that we had 2 that were feelable today, a little weird, but it's not it's not out of the ordinary. Typically these things do come in small little swarms. It's a thing that happens, and why it chose today, don't know. I think it felt that the weather guys have had it really easy over the last few days with the beautiful high pressure and everything. Not a cloud in the sky, as you can see, and just 100% chance of barking dogs. But
they're ready for dinner.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've been here a long time. I've been here. It's funny. I can't. I was born in California, and I moved here. And I'll tell you what. I've been here a long time, and it's not. We've had little shakes. I felt little shakes here. It was scary for a few minutes. When I was in elementary school, we had like one of these little 3s fire off in Ladson, shook all the way down into Goose Creek. Saw the windows shake, and it was a little creepy. But it just made for a good science lesson later that day. And again, this is not the primary thing to be concerned about here. We have a far higher probability of dealing with things like hurricanes or severe thunderstorms. But the good news is that the hurricane kit, if it worst came to worst, it does double very nicely as an earthquake kit.
And I think that's the educational takeaway between being prepared for emergency disasters in general. And if you didn't know, here's the USGS map we showed you earlier. These are the earthquake probabilities and the hotspots across the country. I only learned last week that Charleston was amongst them. And if you didn't know, now you know as well. That's kind of our nice takeaway here from this day, with 3 earthquakes near the Charleston area, but no reports of damage. No reports of injuries. There's a link in comments to officially report to the USGS what you felt so that they can better study and report on this.
I do have one damage report to relay, and that is there was a beer spilled somewhere in the Charleston metro area. Somebody's beer was spilled. Wow. So that's the extent of the damage that we've heard so far. And if that's all we got, it's a good day.
Thankfully, it didn't cause any flooding down there.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, you have to figure out if it was high tide or not. That'd be some really weird water to wade through.
Right. I mean, but I guess that really does kind of speak to the seriousness. It's curiosity. It's interesting. But lo and behold, we're happy to report nothing serious to report. Let's put that link one more time here. Did you feel it? Let the USGS know. That link is again in comments. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. That's Jared Smith in Charleston, South Carolina. Scotty Powell in the foothills of Western North Carolina. Just a small sampling of the smattering of faces across the Carolinas you get from us here at the Carolina Weather Group, where we cover not only weather, but earthquakes, science, technology, and more. New shows every Wednesday night. This week, we're going to be talking about the hurricane cone, understanding it, the probability, its falsities. So the tropics are very active right now. You'll want to stay subscribed for that episode. We have lots of stuff in the works for you. And then, of course, if you're subscribed and you're getting our notifications, then you'll know when we come up with live special reports just like this one, whether it be for earthquakes or severe weather. that is what we are here for. But on behalf of Jared and Scotty, I'm James Brierton. Thank you so much for all your comments. We're happy to report that after 3 earthquakes today in the Charleston area, no injuries or damage to report. And we'll see you again real soon from all of us here at the Carolina Weather Group.